All right, the second feature to hole number 3 requires us to take this out and get it out of the way. And if we take a look at our print, you'll notice that there is actually a counter bore that's going to go there. So I'm going to show you this on the drawing very quickly. You'll see it as described here and here. You can see to where, hey, it's going to go down 5/16, so 0.313. And you can see here, hole number 3, you can see that there's 2 circles, and you can see the side view right here. It indicates clearly that there's going to be a counter bore. Don't worry, there's tools for that, and we're going to go put them in, and I'm going to show you how to set this machine up. So the first thing I'm going to do is back you guys up just a little bit here, because I want to tip down and show you probably one of the more important things, and that is the function that the knee and the quill have together in this particular video. So let's straighten you up right here. I'm going to grab my counter bore tool. So you'll notice here that it has a smaller section and a larger section. This small section right here is actually the diameter of our drill bit, so it'll be able to go in there as a pilot and act as a guide. And then this cutter right here is actually going to create that 1/2 inch diameter. So let's go ahead and get that in the machine. So we're going to open up our drill chuck. Hey, I don't have enough room to get it in here. No big deal. We're going to go ahead and lower the knee, at which point I can get it, and then I'm going to kind of go up a little bit. And I'm going to lock this thing in. I'm going to make sure it's good and locked in, because we have a depth dimension to hit. So I'm going to go over here, and like I'd mentioned on all the machines before, there's actually a wrench for this. So if I want, I can slide this wrench in using my brake and make sure that's nice and tight. So I got that nice and tight. Now, this is where all of the magic happens, and it ends up being, this is one of the things that hangs some of the students up. So just follow along. Watch this as many times as you need to get this right, okay? And this is very important for getting accurate depths on almost anything in the machine shop when it comes to manual equipment, okay? So the first thing is that I want to make sure that I have a reasonable amount of clearance here. And if I don't have a reasonable amount of clearance, and what I mean by reasonable is that I have about, I got to go down 5/16, so I know I'm going to be taking some of that up, so I want to give it a little bit more clearance here. So I'm going to give myself about 1 inch, okay? And I'm going to call that about 1 inch or a little bit over. And then what I want to do is make sure that that's up. I'm going to remove or loosen up that locking nut, and there's a line here, and I'm going to make sure that it's on 0, and I'm going to lock that in, okay? So that's the first step. Clearance here. Then the second step is to get that to 0. Now what we want to do is take our quill, not running, and we want to very gently bring our tool down to where it stops. So the tool cutting tips are actually resting on the surface, and I usually don't talk about ever doing something like that unless there's a situation to where we have to use it for tool setting, and this is one of those. So we're going to rest it there, and then we're going to use our little quill lock here, and we're going to tighten that down, and that will make it to where it stays right where it's supposed to be. The next thing is we're going to use this hammer stop, okay? Also quill stop. This is the quill hammer, and this is the hammer stop. And what we're going to do is bring it up close, and then we're going to screw it upwards to come in contact with this quill hammer, okay? And we're going to make sure it's nice and snug, all right? Because we want to make sure it's well pushed up against that surface there. So at this point right here, even if we were to take this block out, the tool could not go beyond that surface because it's being stopped by that, all right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our depth dimension. So if I can't go down any farther than this, but I got to go 5/16 farther down, I can either go 5/16 farther down, or I can bring the table up by 5/16. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to bring this up to get it out of the way, and then I'm going to look at my value again. It's 0.313, and every revolution is 0.1, so I'm going to go 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and then every line is 1/1000, and then I got to go 13 more. So I'm going to go 10, 11, 12, 13. So right now I have raised up the knee to 313 thousandths, but I didn't move this. So when I push this down, then it's actually going to go into the part by 313 thousandths. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. So the first thing is I'm going to go back over here to my chart, and I'm going to say there, and I've already calculated my RPM. I'm not going to take that front away from you guys. So just know that it will be on a low range. So we're going to go shift it to low range over here. We're going to use low range over here to get it spinning in the right direction, and then I'm going to go ahead and make the adjustment. Definitely use some lubrication on this, and we're going to go off. We're going to go to it. So I'm going to make contact, and then what I'm going to do is a moderate amount of pressure. I may stop every once in a while as I see those ships grow. Watch this. I stop and they break. So I'm going to continue this process while keeping my eye on this gap right here. Stopping and putting a little bit more lube never hurts. Don't need a ton, just need enough to make the surface a little bit more wet. Again, going back to the same process, breaking that chip, but then also watching my gap. You can hear that. That right there, the load has come off the motor. I'm pushing hard, and then I'm only up to my stop right there. So now the process is done. I can go ahead and bring this out, turn this off, use my brake to stop, and I can look in there. I should be using the chip brush for that. I can look in there, and I can see that my counterbore is there. Now, the next process for this is that we're going to go ahead and we already know what our information is here because we already picked our part up once. We'll be moving that out of the way, and then using a set of calipers to be able to take a measurement on that before we move on to the next hole.